Okay, guys, so hello and welcome back. I'm Ninja Andrew, and with me as always is
I'm Ninja Misty.
Woot. And we're here today to bring you a video response to the work in progress UI improvements video that DCUO has released about a week ago. So this video is going to cover some of our impressions of that video, as well as some of our thoughts as far as things that, I guess we'll call them suggestions from our perspective. So I guess to kick it off, we'll put a link in the description for anybody who's looking to see this video, and we're going to also probably use this video to reply to it. So hopefully that'll spark some conversation. And they're looking for your input too, guys. So if you like the things that we talk about, or if you're interested at all in putting your opinions out there, then they're definitely looking to hear from you. So without further ado, so we just finished watching the video, and what are your impressions, Ninja Misty?
I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either, and we're going to try not to be too harsh on it. But I guess, like, some of the confusing things are, there's a lot of things where they say, oh, we're going to do this thing to improve it for this reason, but then in actual fact, that reason and the thing that they're doing to improve it are in complete conflict with each other. Some examples I'll give very early in the video. They talk about how they're trying to visually clean it up and make it so that you can see your character through the UI, which is a great idea in practice, or in theory, I guess, in theory, right? But in practice, in what we've seen, there's so much UI that they've added that it's literally covering your screen from side to side, and there are definitely times in there where you can't see your character at all, and it's actually more obtrusive than the current AI UI
Well, the
system.
current AI completely blocks.
Or UI, rather. It completely blocks you, but you can at least see, like, around the edges, so you can see if somebody's coming up to attack you.
Well, you could kind of see around the edges on what they showed, but I think one of their points they're making is that you can back out of one of the windows and open the panel up enough to see, whereas in the current UI you have to completely back out.
You know?
So, I mean...
It's 2.5 of one, and you know, I get it. But, like, some of the other things that they talked about were how, oh, it's going to be faster to tab through, that it's going to be easier to find the stuff that you're looking for, it's going to somehow be easier to navigate. What are your impressions of those statements and what you saw?
Well... For the first half of the video, they're showing a little window down in the left corner with a PlayStation controller. And all I saw was my thumb would get very tired from having to constantly navigate the D-pad. I like being able to go into the current UI and tab with R1, L1. I don't see a problem with that. It works well for the way that I hold a controller, particularly for me being a female and my hands being smaller. It's easier to hit those buttons than I'm holding the controller, and then now I'm having to, you know, navigate through with the D-pad, as well as who knows what I'll have to do with the joysticks. I don't know where they're going with...
It just seems kind of backwards in a way, because it's like right now it's very convenient to tab through your menu and you tab through the triggers, you use the D-pad as a secondary to get down to the thing that you need to get to, and if it's really far then you can use the control stick. From what we've seen, it's now going to all be pretty much exclusively the D-pad, and there's a lot of stuff to tab through, and especially the way that they've organized it into these long menu list columns, it's kind of like it's actually not more convenient than what the system that we currently have, you know, because, like, and also, like, we are on the PS4, we have a touchpad now, and they're from what it seems like, where they're completely ignoring that, and it's almost like, well, if you're going to use a system that was designed for a keyboard and mouse, which is what it looks like that they've done, it would be nice to have some sort of tracking ability with the touchpad, or to be able to use your control sticks, even have one to scroll through the menu and one that you could actually use as a cursor. That would be kind of cool. Just as options, or as something different, because it's like, if we're going to have to tab through everything that they show in that video with just the D-pad alone, it kind of just seems like you've made the change so that you can satisfy people who are playing with a keyboard and mouse, and kind of saying, well, screw everybody that uses a controller, which is, I'll just say it once, it's ironic, because this game is specifically designed for you to play it with a controller in your hands. So to change the UI to be a system that's more like a PC MMO, like list menus, it seems kind of backwards, because it's like, if you were trying to play this game, even if you were playing it on PC with a keyboard and mouse, if somebody's using a controller, they're going to kill you, because there's no way that you could combo your weapon combos off with your right and left mouse clicks to be able to be, like, maybe there's some master keyboard and mouse controller guy out there who's playing that way, but I don't think that's the way that the majority of players should or do play this game. So it's kind of like, why make a system for this game or a UI system that sort of ignores the way that people are actually interfacing with the game, and then expects us to, or like, I know I could plug a keyboard and mouse into my PlayStation, but why would I, if I already have a way to interface with the system that's perfectly fine as it is, It seems a little backwards to me. So, and like, it's ironic, because at the end of the video, he's like, oh, I'm going to switch over to the keyboard, and it's like, well, of course you are, because that's the way that this system was designed to be used, and it doesn't help anybody that's on the console, even if you say, oh, it's fast to tab around in this menu. Well, that may be so in your estimation, but compared to the system that we currently have, I'm willing to bet that I can move around faster and get around to do more faster with the current system. So, do you have anything else to add based on what we saw in the video?
Well, the one thing that I would say is, when they started opening up and expanding out all of the menus, it was extremely overwhelming for me visually.
Yes.
It was very confusing for me. I like, particularly
especially when they got to the traits menu, it was just like, oh my god, what the heck is going on? Like,
particularly for a game like this, where it is combat heavy. I mean, you're on the go and you're moving in this game. I need something that operates quickly, sleekly, gives me the information that I need. I don't have a problem with the way the journal is. There are multiple options of how I want to organize my missions. I have the ability to hide missions. It's easy to get through those. It's easy to queue up for things. They showed the queuing menu. It looked incredibly busy and overwhelming.
And at the same time dull. At the same time boring. It's not like it's like something new, exciting. Like,
well, I don't really need new and exciting per se. I need efficient. In a game like this, I don't want to spend a lot of time falling over myself through menus. It was one of the things I did not like about Final Fantasy Realm Reborn, was those menus. It was just like, I don't even want to play. It just felt like, to
the
get
game shouldn't
started,
be about the menus.
Right,
yeah.
It was all about menus, and that is how this felt to me. It was just incredibly cluttered.
It's almost like if you could minimize some of those things away, that would be even better, or turn them into smaller systems, so that if you're trying to look for something specifically, you only have to interact with this one thing specifically.
I think they need to take a look at the current system and find a way to streamline it and maybe modernize it, make it look sleeker, but not completely take everything, throw it to the left-hand side of the screen, and turn it into this giant menu that just eats the entirety of my, display every time I open my UI.
It's very immersion breaking as well to have a UI system that's just like giant wall of text. Like you're trying to play a game, you're trying to, have fun, jump around, do stuff, and you don't really want to like spend 20 minutes trying to figure out how to get through the menu to queue for something. And I think it's going to be a lot more difficult for like newer players to the game, or people who are new to games in general, to get used to a change like that.
Well, and with that being said, we're making all of this commentary because they have asked for opinions. So nothing is set in stone. These are changes that are coming further down the line. So, once you take a look at that video, chime in and let them know what you guys think, because I've read quite a bit of feedback, and a lot of people are not happy with what they have seen in this video. So you need to put your voice out there as well.
And tell them what you'd like to see.
Exactly, before we end up with a wall of text.
Yeah, and this is our perspective as console-based gamers. So maybe you have a different perspective. Maybe these changes would be great for the PC version of the game, but maybe they need to do something else for console, and maybe that's just a decision that they're going to have to make. Whether they bring it to console or whether they just leave things as they are for now and look at that in the future. And along that note, I guess like just looking at the main HUD UI, I guess I'm going to start just sort of dissecting a little bit and talking about sort of the suggestions that Misty and I have for ways that you could improve the general UI that currently exists as we see it. So I guess just starting, like the major thing that I've always wished for in this game was that if I'm not using the text chat window, that could be minimized, almost like completely gone. And then if, for instance, somebody tries to message me, or if there's something that's important that I need to know, like a world alert message or something like that the server's shutting down, then there'll be a little tab that pops up, and then I can press the chat tab button to pop up the chat further to see what's there. But if I'm not using it, it really doesn't need to be popped up in the corner like that, taking up so much real estate on my screen if I'm actually not using it. You know what I mean? And I know that that's something that Misty would agree with, because we've both... we use it sometimes, but there's a lot of time where the things that are going on in the chat, it takes away from the game. You don't need to see that. You don't need it, you know? So that's like step one. Do you have anything that you would add on that note?
No, I think you've covered it.
You know, other improvements on the main window, the mini-map up in the corner, you could probably make that into a larger square, like square that off and make it a little bit bigger and more zoomed in. That would probably be helpful to people, especially if you're playing on smaller or even larger TVs, just to get a bit more of a view on that. But I guess my major criticism of the UI in general is that it just looks a little bit too... I don't want to like use this word in a bad way, but childish is my major takeaway from the UI system in DCUO. It's functional, it does the job, but it doesn't really look aesthetically nice, in my opinion. It looks kind of like, I know I've told Misty this a bunch of times before, but it kind of looks like stickers that you would find on like a kid's toy, or like, I don't know, it's the Fisher-Price Blue set of UI. You know, it's just, it feels like it's on a game that's designed for maybe kids to tweens, and it's not exactly on a game that's maybe designed for all ages. Like, it is, but it's still a little bit youngish, you know? What would you say?
Well, I don't really have a problem with it, so this is kind of, as they say, your bag.
Woot! But I guess that, like, if I go and tab into my regular menu, that would be, like, my major criticism is, like, if we could get it to look a little bit nicer, a little bit more grown up, so to speak, or, like, maybe that I'm looking on, like, an iPod or a tablet, you know, that pops up when I'm looking through my menu instead of this, like, currently it's like it's trying to be that, but it's not quite, right? The system that they want to change it to will just turn it into a giant wall of text menus. And while they call it a PDA, it doesn't really look like a PDA to me. It looks like I've already, like, gone into the PDA and I'm in the interface in some weird, not Windows, but menus system, let's call it, right? But if they could make it look like it was an actual PDA on an actual tablet, and I could, like, swipe between things with my touchpad, and, you know, like, that would be, like, a really cool UI improvement to the game, in my opinion. You know, I think that if you're going to change something like that, like, it's not enough to just make menus with lists of text in them and call that a real UI improvement when you have other games out there where it's like, oh, we're gonna put your UI on a scroll or in your cell phone and they do a really good job of simulating that experience. You can call up your friends on your cell phone, or you know, you leaf through the scroll and the scroll makes the scroll papery noise and stuff like that, and like it makes it feel like it's part of the game and that you're interacting with part of the game rather than stepping out of the game to interact with a menu. Especially a long text menu that really has no place with anything that's in the game. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if there's some way they could sort of marry that a little bit more, I think that would be a big step. Like, and I think, like, putting everything on a tablet would be a great UI system to sort of pursue maybe that kind of look going into the future. If they can do something like that, that would be great. Looking at my inventory, I think the biggest complaint that Misty and I have always had is that it's great that you can put your suit of armor that you're currently wearing around your character, and you can see all that there, and then you have your big old set of inventory. But what Misty and I have always wished for is, like, another tab where you can slot in your alternate sets of armor. So if I have an alternate DPS suit, alternate PvP suit, something like that, I can slot them all in on, like, a set of, I don't know, 12 or 10 slots, however many slots you need to put in a whole suit, right? Have those separate, and then if I need to change something, I go and change it on that slotted set. And then they're just always there. I can always keep track of them. They're not in my main inventory, so I don't have to, you know, go through my main inventory and be like, oh, am I about to erase my PvP suit, you know, or am I about to erase my DPS suit? And I'm like, what armor am I looking at? If I could take all those out, put them somewhere else, and keep them organized, that would be great. And then one more, just while we're here. New drops into the inventory. If you could have, like, a tab of, say, 9 slots, so that every time when I tab in and out of my start menu or my inventory, it just puts all the new stuff there first so I can see it, and then I can put it into my inventory or put it on or do whatever, or delete it, sell it. That would just be helpful. Like, what are your thoughts on sort of those kinds of things? And
yeah, I think you're doing a pretty good job of covering it. I really don't.
You know? I guess, like, the next big one is the journal. And as Misty was saying, the way that the journal is currently set up, you can tab very easily, between how you would like to sort your menus or your missions. And often it's great to be able to sort them, say, by type. Be able to put all of the wanted posters together, for instance, or all of your arenas. Or another great one is location. If I'm, like, say, in Gotham, and I'm like, oh, what can I do in Gotham? Oh, here's my missions. You know, that's a great way to be able to quickly ascertain what it is that you want to do, as well as you can scroll through these menus with your thumbstick. And, you know, if you're looking for something very specific, you can really find it quickly with this type of menu. So it's like if they could somehow incorporate that into a tablet-based PDA UI system, I think that would be a much more functional change for console gamers than what's currently being proposed. I don't want to go too in-depth into the traits menu because I don't even understand what the new trait system is even like to be able to even say, is it better or worse? I guess the only thing that I can say is that it would be nice if there was a little bit more messaging about what moves were intended for what role. I think for newer players, it would be nice to have a message that told them, hey, if you're playing a controller, you need these 2 moves in your loadout to be a controller, period. Full stop. You know, or if you're playing as a tank or a healer, you need these specific moves. And maybe that the way that the trees were designed wasn't probably the best. It would be cool to see them maybe organize the trees into more of a decision-based system where it's like, okay, do you want to play as a healer or a DPS? And then based on that decision, it'll open up moves for you, and then it'll be like, okay, do you want to be this kind of healer or that kind of healer? And then it splits again, and give us enough ability to see how all these moves interact in those various intended loadouts so that we can truly see what it is that we're supposed to be doing on any given role. Do you have anything you'd add to that?
I do, because it was,
yep.
Like we were talking about yesterday, it would be nice when you hit level 10 and your alternate role opens up for you, that you would get a video that plays that's specific to healer, controller, or tank. Yeah. And you could even do one for DPS, just kind of giving some tips and tricks. I think it's necessary. I think that it would be extremely beneficial because we've all been in even tier 6 raids with people who do not know how to play their role.
Yeah.
And now, granted, I think if you're tier 6 that you should have figured it out by now. But if you made it more user-friendly, you made it more educational as you're coming up through the ranks, I think that you would have more competent players that are entering the world once they hit level 30.
That's right.
I think it would make a better experience for everybody.
If the system was like a little bit more foolproof. If you could...
A little more foolproof, and
go into it not knowing what you're doing and come out having everything that you need to know.
With that being said, they also, as PvP opens up to you in arenas and legends, there needs to be a video for that as well. Just hitting the highlights on what do you do on capture and hold, what do you do in a deathmatch, because, you know, we've all been there. You've been in the group where clearly no one has any idea what capture and hold means.
Yeah.
So,
definitely.
Yeah, I think that throwing in some education,
like a tips and tutorials page even, where
that you could go back and watch those videos if you needed to see them. But I think they should pop mandatory for you at level 10 when your role opens up and when PvP opens up.
Yeah.
I think that would be a welcome change. If you guys are listening and you're wondering what else you could do, you could throw that in there. We'd appreciate it.
And so, like, moving on, like, things like the feats and the map, like, I don't really have any problem with how those currently work at all.
Nope.
You know what I mean? Same with, like, I skipped over the style menu before, but that works great already as it is, too. So, like, I guess we're on to the on duty tab now, and like I guess I'll just start off by saying, like, it's really easy to find how many player instance, what type of instance you're looking to play, and then to go and select it with this current system, and like to find out what it is that it's got the description, it's got any allowances, like if somebody doesn't have the right CR, it'll tell you. It's very straightforward, and I don't quite understand why they're making such a drastic change to make it almost more convoluted and take more time. You know, I get it that it's works the way that PC games work, but it's not convenient for console, especially not when we have a system that's as foolproof as this. Like, I can already back tab, find my PvP stuff really quickly, like from coming in from the start menu, back tab over, PvP, I'm good to go. You know, so is there anything that you would say that you would change about the on-duty tab?
I don't think so. I only take a look at it here. I don't have a problem with the on-duty tab, honestly.
You know, the one thing that I've mentioned to Misty before, and I think she agrees with me, is that I think that this is the perfect place where they could add a description, or add into the description what drops in each of these instances. What drops off of regular mobs, what drops off of each of the bosses, what suits drop in the instance, and what iconic gear you can potentially get. Because since the launch of DCUO, you've had so many changes to where loot drops, where specific loot drops, and so many different websites out there that, like, you know, there was the DCUO wiki, which was like good for the first year, and then they updated and the wiki didn't, so now those places are no longer valid. Then they did the DCUO item database, and all of that was great for a while, but then they changed it again, and the item database didn't update. So everywhere that you go to look online has the wrong information for where it is that you can find the loot in the game. And I think that if it was more clear, like what drops in what instance specifically, like just list it out, it's not going to hurt anybody. But what it will do is allow players to quickly look at what's available to them and what they want to work towards. And you're going to find, I think, much more players re-grinding instances to try and get that specific loot that they need if they know where it is. Because if you don't know where it is and you go and try for it and you're trying in the wrong instance and it's not dropping and you're like, this sucks, man, I can't get what I'm looking for, you're having a terrible experience. And you're like, everywhere you go to look, everybody has different info on where you should be looking for it, and you can never find it. And it's like, if they would just list it in the on-duty tab, it would be no problem for anybody, you know?
Right.
And I think it would be easy for them to do that and update it and keep it updated. So that's just my 2 cents on the on-duty tab. Is there anything that you would add on that level? Like,
no, I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay. So then you have your League tab, and in your League tab, everything works pretty good for us. It's fairly straightforward. We can find what we're looking for. It tells us what the message of the day is, and we can tab through it easily. I'm not going to tab through it right now just because I don't want to give away all of our secrets, but it works just fine the way it is. If all of these systems could have a nice graphical update to make them just more streamlined and what's the word I'm looking for? Consistent. I think that would be like the biggest improvement we could ask for. Same with the settings and the marketplace. Like, those are the last two. But like, you see, like, all the icons down at the bottom, all those symbols, like, freshen that up a bit. Like, don't have the giant L2 and R2 buttons. I get it that you need to put those somewhere, but like, don't display it as just the buttons. Make it look nicer, because it looks like it's like, I don't know, on my Leapfrog, and I'm getting ready to play with my world map and my book and my glasses and my belt. You know what I mean? It's like, let's make it a little bit nicer looking. Same with the combo menu on the main screen, on your main HUD. It's functional.
Sure.
It's just, I think that you could make it look a lot cooler. Like, my real idea here is to, like, take all the symbols and make them transparent with like an icon, and then put a light ring around each one of the powers, and have the ring change color depending on when you've depressed it, or whether it's recharging, or whether it's ready to go. And you could make like a nice looking, fancy looking bling bling system that, you know, would really spark and pop and show off the moves as you're using them, visually, you know, light up, you know, stuff like that, versus the current system, which, like, it's functional, but, you know, like, I'm just thinking of like a more sleek system. Like, if this game was more sleek, I think people would take it more seriously too, you know, and I think that would be a good step for it moving on into the future, you know. If we want it to stick around for another few years, like I'm sure we all do, it's like, let's make it look cool, you know?
Right.
You know? So I guess that sort of, like, that's everything I can really think of. Is there anything else that you would add overall?
No, I think we've covered it all.
You know? The way the UI is handled in the game, you know? And, like, I like all the combat UI that they've been doing, so I won't get into any of that, because, like, I think that it's functional and it does what it needs to do. So hopefully this has been interesting, and hopefully the designers or developers of the UI systems in DC will take a look at this and be able to maybe figure out something, maybe a compromise or something that they can work out between what they're doing and where this is going in the future. And, you know, we're really interested to hear what your guys' thoughts are, what you'd like to see, and, you know, if you support us, give us a thumbs up, and let DCUO know that you would like to see these kinds of changes too.
Absolutely.
Woot. Do you want to do the outro, like, subscribe, comment?
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Alright, guys, so if you want to weigh in over there on the DC forums or on the comments on the YouTube video that we are going to link, let DCUO know what you think, and let us know what you think about us. Like, subscribe, comments, questions, and join us for more discussions on Dork Ninja Gaming. Bye.
Let us know that you think that we're awesome. That would be great.